Give it a few seconds. Today we're going to be carving a custom background for my Chahuas. See, there's somebody in here. Just give it a couple minutes so that other people can show up. I'm a little bit early on the stream. Hopefully the quality is good. You guys can hear me. Well, let's start this. So, yesterday I actually was spraying my custom background. This was going to be a video on its own, and what I did was I laid out the cork as a background. The main theme behind this vivarium is going to be that this is to look like a log, and then I'm going to have a couple of trees coming out in front of it with overarching branches because my Chahoua like to bask. So yesterday I used, so I gave it 24 hours to cure, and I used, this is the Great Stuff Pondent Foam. I also had a Touch-In Foam Landscape that ran out on me, but both of them work well. Touch-In Foam is actually a little bit cheaper, so if you can find it, it's available at Lowe's. That's what I use. So let's start carving here, why don't we? So for carving, I like to use a steak knife. I don't like using anything like that. With the serrated edges, it makes it a lot easier to actually carve the foam. And you don't have to worry about it actually being sharp or anything like that. You can actually easily carve anything, even if it was a little bit dull, but it doesn't really get dull. So the whole thing you're trying to do here is take off the top layer, because while you're working here, if you try to silicone the shiny layer, it actually would not stick, at least not properly. So you got to make sure you carve every single corner, every single face in which there's foam. If you don't, you're going to have bald spots, and then later on it's not going to be good. Feel free to ask questions while in here. I'll just be carving away until somebody does. So this foam has been sitting for 24 hours. I sprayed this yesterday during my lunch. And I'm doing the carving today. Good thing about this foam, but it's best to give it a couple of days. Now with carving a custom background, you cannot be scared. Just remember, it's actually very, very easy. And if you make a mistake, it's easy to get the foam off. I actually like to either carve it, as you see here with my steak knife, or if the area is too small for me to get my knife into, what I do is I actually just use my fingers to pull it out. And that makes it easier to actually work around. Now make sure you don't carve too deep. You want to make sure that everywhere you want covered with foam remains covered. How's the connection on your guys' side? Is it good? I keep on getting some notifications here. So with Chahoua, they have a very, very bad habit of sticking their eggs to things. And my initial plan was to actually make a similar background to my Lichiana's cage. However, with them sticking their eggs wherever they please, / the most secure areas, I was afraid that they'd stick their eggs inside one of the tunnels and then I wouldn't be able to get to them to incubate them. And so what I did was I just used the actual cork as a feature more so than anything. Feel free to ask a question, guys. The biggest advice I could give you with carving a background is to just take your time, make sure before you apply your foam to plan out your background properly. Remember, this isn't permanent, however, it could be permanent, so it's better just to do it once. And that's why I take more time strategically planning where things are going to go and how it's going to look before I apply my foam. Now you can't anticipate where the foam is going to go when it starts to expand. However, it is pretty simple to use, and if you use the low expansion stuff, wherever you apply is really the only place it's going to go. Again, unlike the Lychee on this cage, I don't want any tunnels or access for the Chahouas behind this cork, mainly because of breeding. I don't want them sticking their eggs up inside one of the tunnels and then I won't be able to get it out. Would you guys be interested in some live 3D printing? I'm actually planning on printing a custom background very soon for a client, which is Cthulhu. And I could have that live streamed if you like. If it fails, you can watch it fail. If it... Hey Matthew. I actually get the cork bark wholesale from an importer. He actually is local to me. He's about a 45-minute drive. He orders them by the container full, and I buy them 50 pounds at a time. Hey Andrew, how's it going? I was a little bit early on my stream. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. But I've been carving away here. Feel free to ask any questions you like, and let me know if there's a bad connection. This has been chopping in and out. But yeah, my main point of advice for getting a bunch of cork bark, at least, is to look where you can purchase it wholesale. Typically, on average, here in Canada, we're paying about $8–9 a pound. I'm paying half that. How's the connection on? See me? Is everything fine? Is Matthew still there? It depends on the size of the piece that you're looking to get. I find that all of this here was just under a pound, so I didn't actually pay much for it. Another thing, that if you're making backgrounds out of cork, another good tip is to actually use flats instead of using rounds. Rounds are more expensive. Is it still cutting out, Andrew? I have nothing on my side. It doesn't say bad connection, so it might be on your side. Hopefully it's okay though. Okay, awesome. Got it pretty much carved now. I'm going to be applying my silicone. I ran out of black silicone. This vivarium is actually for Chahoua geckos. It's for a pair that I recently got. I actually got this cage off of Kijiji for 20 bucks, so I decided to use it and make a custom background for them. And this is an 18 by 18 by 24. Just making sure I got everything carved. It seems as if I do. Just give me a second. I gotta get my shop back. I'll be right back. Sorry for the noise, guys. You should always clean your vivarium and pick up any loose foam before siliconing. It's good practice to do so. Alright, so we're good to silicone now. Before I do, is there any questions, any more things you guys want to know? So when working with silicone, it is very important, I'm actually going to move my light here, to wear gloves. I use U-line gloves, black ones. Silicone will stick to your skin and it won't come off for a while. So as you can see on my hand there, that was from a couple days ago. I actually never replace my cork rounds, even if they defecate a lot. What I do is I make sure all my cages are bioactive, and typically my cleaners take care of all of it. So I'm using GE Silicone 2. This is the clear. It's all I have, but it should work well. It's good. It's the benefit of working with black foam as well. So you're going to want to put a healthy amount of silicone on your background. Now you have about a half an hour working time with this stuff. The first stuff I applied was Great Stuff Pond and Foam or Touch and Foam Landscape. Don't worry about it touching the glass or anything like that. Once it's dry, it actually makes it very easy to come out. And yeah, as I said, just make sure you use enough silicone, because if If you don't have enough, it will not work. It will actually leave a lot of bald spots, and that's the last thing you want. Also, before setting down your silicone, as you can see it's still oozing out, make sure you relieve pressure with this little bar here, or else you're going to have silicone all over the floor. Now, just rub around every single crevice. This is where the gloves come in handy. You don't want this stuff on your hands. Although it's easy to peel off of glass, taking this stuff off your hands is not easy at all. Make sure you get every crevice and you spread around. I also like to get a little bit on the cork so that it actually looks like it's growing out of the background. That's just my point of advice here. But just make sure you use a lot. Don't be stingy on this part. Last thing you want is bald spots. So yeah, I still need a little bit more silicone in a lot of these areas, as over here in this area specifically. So, as I said, make sure a live vivarium really depends. Like, the cost can differ per vivarium. It really matters on how much cork you use, how much you actually paid for your cage, because you got to take that into consideration. This particular cage I got off of Kijiji for 20 bucks, and I just had to clean it really well, which was a really good deal. But my cages usually cost me like 30 bucks in total, not including plants, with cork and foam and stuff, mainly because I buy it wholesale. Alright, and that should cover most of it. So the plan is for this specific cage now is to add the cocoa fiber. So the most important thing when adding cocoa fiber is to make sure you use dry cocoa fiber. I use a old bin after I've expanded it, and I use this specifically to hold my cocoa fiber so it dries out properly. I also have a little scoop. So what you want to do is just lay it on there. Make sure you cover every crevice. This is another reason why I have a shop vac on hand, because this is the messy part, because you want to make sure that you get everything, and these top edges are usually what is missed. So just make sure you use a healthy amount. Feel free to keep on asking questions, guys. So now that it is fully covered with cocoa fiber, my last pair of gloves was covered with silicone. Hold on, what was that one? How do you cover the tank top to bottom when you can only plant? So I am actually using a vine to grow up the background, and I completely cover the background here mainly for looks. It's just so that it's not just clear at the back. It's not like a tacky photo, which I've seen some people use, which sometimes it actually looks really good. So now just pat it all down and make sure that you're patting down everything. This is an important, it's not going to stick. All right. So now is when you either let it sit for 20 minutes. That's what I like to do, is give it about 20 minutes so that it cures. Make sure that you've patted it down nice and firm. And then once you've done that, that's when you can finally bring it upright. In the meantime, is there anything else you guys want to see? All right, guys. Well, that's the gist of this. Now it's time to just wait, allow it to cure for 20 to 30 minutes. I'm not going to let you guys just sit here watching it cure. It's like watching paint dry. And then you bring it fully upwards and you let everything drop off and use a shop vac to pick it up. My lychees prefer vertical rounds. They actually never use horizontal rounds. Currently, all of my lychees have the background with the tunnels, and I always see them inside the backgrounds, never anywhere else. They actually don't even use any of the cork that I have sprawled across their cage. They only use it to get to their food. So background tunnels, I'll actually take you guys with me. So, to show you what the background tunnels I use for my lychees, you can see here, these are the background tunnels. You see how they're actually inside of it right now? That's the male, that's the female. Those are the tunnels I was talking about. It was just cutting back because I don't have really good internet connection inside the reptile room. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, let me know. I'm only going to be on here for a couple more. I keep my lychees in a 24 by 18 by 24 for pairs of pine isles, or 24 cubed for the GT pairs. So yeah, I'm only going to be here for a couple more minutes and then I gotta head back to work. But let me know if you guys have any more questions, want to know anything else. This is just really going to sit here. So for a single Leachianus, I actually keep them in 18 by 18 by 24s. That they seem to do well alone in that size cage. As you know, they sleep in tunnels all night. They are very active species, especially at night. However, they don't need a lot of space to sleep or really anything. So personally, I keep them in 18 by 18 by 24s. Hopefully I'll have some hatchlings soon to show you guys, either here in my personal collection or at our facility. So currently we don't have anything hatching out because everybody's been a late bloomer. I have 156 geckos currently. That includes babies though, so it's, I know it sounds like a lot, but 156 geckos is very easy to get to in one season. It depends on, so lychees typically range in price. The cheapest I've ever seen one go was $350, but that's super cheap. I typically see them at $450 to $650 for babies slash juveniles. For adults, they range from $800. Proven pair that has produced viable eggs in the past, that is a very expensive treat to have. Those typically are, they could be like $3 for the pair, $4 maybe, depending on their locales, if they're pure, if they're not, if they provide paperwork. Because the one thing you need to make sure of is that you have paperwork. Males are more with lychees because it is harder to get a male. They are temperature sex determinate, so when you're incubating them, for the first 30 days you should keep them at a higher temperature to get a male. However, it's not guaranteed. It has been somewhat proven, but there is a higher ratio of females that hatch out of Leachianus than there are males. It's also, however, I personally believe that it depends on what your room temperature is. So if you have a constant 72 degrees, that's a little too low in my opinion. If you look up New Caledonian weather patterns over the last 10 years, you'll notice that they have a peak of 90 degrees. That's way too hot. But on average, their temperate climate is 78 degrees. So if you want your crested gecko to grow faster, if you want them to look better and everything, provide them with the proper temperature. I actually find that keeping them at 78, 79 is actually a sweet spot. Some people say it stresses them out. I have a 12-year-old crested that is still alive and kicking and very happy. And she's been at 78, 79 her entire life. I use heat pads. I also have a thermostat set on my geckos. I'll actually bring you guys back in there. Might lose connection though. But as you can see, everybody is controlled off of this one thermostat. It's all exactly the same heat pads. They're all the same construction. Exactly. They are more active. They eat more. They actually become larger. So it actually is very, very important to have the proper temperature. I know that some people say keep them at whatever, they're good in the 60s. They're good in the 60s for a short amount of time, but that's why you never see your geckos fire up. It's that and UVB, and As you can tell, all my geckos have UVB. All of them do. And that's not anything that I'll ever change, because I believe that even if they're a nocturnal species, they deserve UVB because they will experience some of it in the wild. So I use Sunblaster T5s for UVB. They're actually used for growing hydroponics. So they're proven to provide the amount of UVB that's necessary for plants. So it's enough for my geckos. So if they're nearby a window, they'll get the temperature, well, not really temperature, but they'll get the day and night sequence, but that's not enough to say that they have UVB. That's just so that they can regulate, when day and when night is. To actually have them exposed to UVB, it has to be right above their cage. Glass actually filters out UVB, so it doesn't allow the UVB to pass through it. So I would personally have it above the cage. Oops, shaking here. Alright guys, I got a couple more minutes and then I gotta head out. Let me know. You guys have 4 minutes and then I gotta stop because I gotta eat and get back to work. So I'm working with Brasi, working with pure Nuamis, pure Nuanas. I have a cross of Nuana Nuami. I have a Bayonnaise pair. I have one GT pair, which is supposedly Yate. However, I don't believe that they are. I think that I was ripped off. But right now it's just a waiting game to actually tell. Okay guys, any more questions? What's up, Herp Nation? So with being 75% Nuami, 25% Nuana, I would say it would be above 200 grams guaranteed, probably around the 250 gram mark is usually their average in size. So for anybody who missed it, because I see there's a couple new people in here, this is all carved up, it's all siliconed up. Now I'm just giving it about half an hour to set, because if you don't let it set, it won't. I haven't been to Sweden, but I have been to Germany, and I have been to, actually I was supposed to go to Sweden, but I didn't end up ever going. But it is in the plan to end up going. I've been to Paris, I've been to Spain, I've been to Portugal, I've been to Germany. I'm located in Toronto, Canada. Nice, welcome Sweden. My old company is actually based out of Sweden. Yep, opposite sides. Where are you located, Matthew? Oh, BC, nice. Andrew, Windsor. I actually drive out to Windsor at least once a month, or fly out there actually for work. So yeah. And I do a lot of videos, so sorry if I've taken your ideas, but I'm trying to post daily now. Today I didn't have time to actually edit a video yesterday for today, so I decided why not show you guys the build I'm working on and then do a video of the final. But okay guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to drop a like down below and comment if you have any questions on the upload. And be sure to subscribe for future content. Thanks! Great job, Herc Nation. I'll take a look at your channel.